If you've ever sliced into a raw onion, you've felt it. The sting in your eyes, the sharp smell, and that punch of flavor. Onions are everywhere in our diets. But what if I told you that even just one raw onion could start a chain reaction inside your body, one that may be irreversible? Whether you sprinkle it on your salad, sandwich, or eat it plain with a pinch of salt, you might think of onions as harmless, even healthy. But stay tuned, because what I'm about to reveal may make you think twice before you ever eat a raw onion again. Here's the clickbait. The surprising damage one raw onion can trigger in your body might already be happening, and you won't even feel it until it's too late. This is especially important for older adults. In this video, we dive deep into a topic that's rarely discussed, but could change how you view your everyday meals forever. And yes, this video includes senior health tips you won't hear from your doctor, nutritionist, or even your health-focused neighbor. So make sure you stay until the end, because we're not only talking about the potential dangers of raw onions, we're also uncovering what happens inside your cells, your blood, and your brain after you consume one. Before we go any further, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more updates on topics that could save your health, your future, and maybe even your life. Every week, we uncover health secrets hidden in plain sight. Don't miss what's coming next. Now let's begin. For centuries, onions have been a staple in kitchens around the world. They've been praised for their antioxidants, for being heart-healthy, and even for their supposed cancer-fighting properties. But here's what most people don't realize. The moment you eat a raw onion, it begins a unique chemical reaction in your body, different from when the onion is cooked. This raw state activates compounds that can influence everything from your gut microbiome to the permeability of your blood-brain barrier. You're not just eating a vegetable. You're unleashing a cascade of biological events, and once that begins, there may be no turning back. You see, raw onions contain a high concentration of sulfur-containing compounds, specifically one called thiosulfonates. When you chew raw onion, those compounds mix with enzymes in your mouth and trigger a volatile reaction. It doesn't just stop at a bad breath or a bit of stomach discomfort. What happens next might be affecting your health at a cellular level. Scientists have studied the way these sulfuric compounds break down and enter the bloodstream, and in some cases, they've found potential links to oxidative stress, especially in older adults whose detoxification systems may not function as efficiently as they once did. This is where the real concern begins. As we age, our bodies become more sensitive to oxidative damage. Free radicals cause microscopic injuries to our cells, and while young bodies can fight back effectively, older bodies often struggle. This imbalance can lead to long-term issues, including cognitive decline, chronic inflammation, and weakened immunity. When you eat a raw onion, the thiosulfonates may ramp up free radical activity in a body already vulnerable. That's not just a random reaction, it's a possible trigger for faster aging at a cellular level. You might be wondering, if onions are so dangerous, why are they praised in health circles? Well, cooked onions don't behave the same way. The heat from cooking neutralizes many of the raw sulfur compounds, transforming them into substances your body can process more gently. But when you eat them raw, especially in large amounts, you expose yourself to something very different. Some nutritionists argue that the raw form contains the most powerful antioxidants. That may be true, but powerful doesn't always mean beneficial, especially in bodies over the age of 60. This is where it gets personal for many older adults who are trying to eat healthy, stay sharp, and keep their hearts strong. You may be doing everything right. Exercising, eating your greens, avoiding sugar, but if you're frequently consuming raw onions without understanding their impact, you may be unknowingly compromising your health goals. And that's the kicker. You think you're eating clean, but you could be triggering inflammation in your gut, your joints, and even your brain. And here's where things get more alarming. Raw onions contain a type of sugar called fructooligosaccharides. While this might sound fancy and healthy, for many seniors it can lead to serious digestive problems. These sugars are not easily broken down in the upper digestive tract. Instead, they ferment in the colon, producing gas, bloating, and in some cases, long-term gut imbalance. If you've been experiencing uncomfortable bloating, strange stomach pains, or inconsistent bowel habits, you might have blamed aging or stress, but raw onions could be the stealth culprit. More troubling is how this fermentation process affects your gut bacteria. Over time, repeated exposure to poorly digested fibers can weaken your gut lining. This leads to something called leaky gut syndrome, a controversial but increasingly accepted concept in medical circles. When your intestinal lining becomes too permeable, toxins, bacteria, and undigested food particles leak into the bloodstream. That's where the irreversible part comes in. Because once these foreign substances make it into your system, they can trigger autoimmune reactions, low-grade infections, or chronic fatigue that no medication can fully reverse. And it doesn't stop at the gut. Recent studies have shown that what happens in the gut doesn't stay in the gut. There's a direct link between gut health and brain health, a communication system known as the gut-brain axis. When you disrupt your digestive balance, you may also be affecting memory, focus, and emotional stability. That moment you ate a raw onion, it could have triggered low-level inflammation that made its way to your brain without you feeling a thing. This is where the term irreversible reaction becomes more than just a dramatic warning. Let's say you're over 60, you eat raw onions 2 or 3 times a week. Maybe in a salad, maybe in a sandwich. You notice you've been feeling a little more forgetful lately, or that your stomach hasn't been quite right. Maybe you've chalked it up to getting older, but under the surface, something more complex may be unfolding. Inflammatory markers begin to rise. Your immune system starts attacking what it thinks are threats from the leaky gut. Your joints begin to hurt more. Your memory becomes hazier. And none of these symptoms point directly to the onion, but the damage is quietly accumulating. This is the unseen domino effect. And for many seniors, it goes unnoticed until it's too late. Let's take a closer look at what's happening inside your blood. When sulfur compounds from raw onions enter the bloodstream, they may interact with iron in your red blood cells. Some studies suggest that in vulnerable individuals, particularly those with iron metabolism issues or certain types of anemia, these compounds can alter hemoglobin activity. It might sound technical, but it's simple. Your blood can't carry oxygen as efficiently. You might not notice it immediately, but over time, you may feel more tired, dizzy, and even short of breath. Again, it doesn't scream onion to your doctor, but it could very well be the silent contributor. This isn't about fear-mongering, it's about information. If you've been eating raw onions daily, thinking they're boosting your health, it's time to take a second look, especially if you're over the age of 60. That's why these kinds of senior health tips are crucial. They help you avoid the common traps that sound healthy but hide risks specific to aging bodies. And while it's true that some people tolerate raw onions with no immediate effects, the concern isn't what happens right after you eat it. It's the long-term pattern of exposure. It's about the damage that accumulates invisibly and shows up years later when it's much harder to reverse. So what should you watch for? It's the subtle signs. Unexplained fatigue, frequent bloating, irritable mood, or foggy thinking. Joint pain that comes and goes. These could all be unrelated. But in someone who regularly consumes raw onions and is also navigating the normal decline of aging systems, these are red flags that shouldn't be ignored. Let's talk for a moment about your liver. The liver plays a central role in processing and neutralizing toxins, and it's also where many of the compounds in raw onions are metabolized. As we age, liver function naturally slows down. This means that substances once easily cleared by the body may now linger longer in the system. That can create a bottleneck effect. Your liver gets backed up, and toxic byproducts from poorly digested raw onion compounds may build up. Over time, this can contribute to systemic inflammation and worsen existing conditions like arthritis, diabetes, or cardiovascular disease. Now let's flip this around. Why do so many people swear by raw onions? Why do some cultures incorporate them daily and even credit them for longevity? It all comes down to bio-individuality. In small doses and with strong digestive systems, raw onions do offer some benefits. They contain quercetin, a flavonoid with antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties. They have prebiotic fibers that support gut bacteria, but only if your gut lining is strong and your microbiome is balanced. In older adults, that's often not the case. Years of stress, medication use, sugar intake, and illness may have already compromised your digestive ecosystem. Adding raw onions to that mix might be more of a bomb than a balm. That's the paradox. What helps a young, healthy body might harm an older, vulnerable one. What energizes one person might exhaust another. And when it comes to raw onions, the dose, the frequency, and the state of your gut and immune system make all the difference. Let's not forget the impact on your heart. Some people believe raw onions are heart-healthy because they can thin the blood and lower cholesterol. But here's the problem. This thinning effect, especially when combined with blood pressure or blood-thinning medications, can become risky. For older adults already on statins, aspirin, or anticoagulants, raw onions may exaggerate these effects. You might bruise more easily, feel lightheaded, or even risk internal bleeding. Again, it's not something most doctors will connect to diet unless they're specifically trained in nutritional medicine. What makes raw onions particularly tricky is their cumulative impact. One onion won't destroy your health, but eating them raw consistently without understanding your body's unique response could gradually push you toward a tipping point. And once that point is crossed, once inflammation becomes chronic, once immune function declines, once gut health is lost, it becomes incredibly hard to walk back. This is why prevention is key. Knowing what foods create, what reactions in your body allows you to be proactive. You can choose the version of the food that works better for your current health, like sautéed or lightly steamed onions instead of raw ones. You can pair them with gut-friendly foods that neutralize their harsher compounds. You can eat them occasionally instead of habitually. And most importantly, you can listen to your body. Every signal it sends is a form of communication. That bloated feeling? It's not random. That fatigue after lunch? It might be your body reacting to something deeper than just sleepiness. And for those who already feel like they've done damage, there's still hope. The body is resilient, especially when it's supported properly. You can begin healing the gut with targeted nutrition, repair inflammation through anti-inflammatory foods, and gently detox the liver with natural herbs and minerals. The key is awareness and action. You can't undo what you don't understand, but now you know. Now you have a clearer picture of what raw onions might be doing inside your body, especially if you're in your 60s, 70s, or beyond. Let's take a moment to talk about memory and brain health again. You may have heard of the term neuroinflammation. It's inflammation of the nervous system, and it's now believed to be a silent driver of cognitive decline. Here's where it connects back to raw onions. If gut inflammation leads to leaky gut, and that in turn leads to systemic inflammation, it can cross the blood-brain barrier. Once there, it may disrupt neurotransmitters and even increase the risk of diseases like Alzheimer's or Parkinson's in genetically vulnerable individuals. It sounds extreme, but remember, these diseases often take decades to develop. What you eat today becomes part of your brain's reality tomorrow. That's why knowledge is power and action is survival. So, what do you do if you love onions? Do you have to give them up forever? Not necessarily. What you might need to do is change the form, cook them, ferment them, mix them with soothing foods like avocado or cooked greens. But raw? That should be a choice made with full understanding of its effects, especially in senior years. You deserve to age with clarity, strength, and independence. And part of achieving that is knowing which foods serve you and which ones sabotage your silent systems. Let's revisit a scenario. Imagine two older adults. One eats raw onions every day with no problems, great digestion, great energy, no complaints. The other begins to feel bloated, foggy, tired, and irritable. They both think they're eating healthy. They both think they're doing the right thing. But only one is truly paying attention to the signals. That's the difference between aging with intention and aging on autopilot. We're not here to demonize a vegetable. We're here to awaken awareness. Every food has a story. Every bite has a consequence. You can't afford to guess anymore, not at this stage of life. Your body has done a lifetime of work. Now it's your turn to support it back. That means getting honest about what you eat, how it makes you feel, and whether it's nourishing or quietly draining you. Raw onions may be trendy. They may even be traditional. But that doesn't mean they're harmless. You deserve the truth. You deserve a future where your food choices build you up instead of breaking you down. If you've been eating raw onions, watch how you feel. Watch what happens next. Because even one onion, depending on your health status, can start a reaction you didn't see coming. And now that you know this, the next choice is yours. Thank you for watching. If this video opened your eyes, if it made you rethink what you've been putting on your plate, then don't keep it to yourself. Like this video and subscribe to the channel for more updates on the foods that are silently shaping your health behind the scenes. Every week, we bring you senior health tips, insights and discoveries that help you stay ahead, not just of illness, but of aging itself. Your health isn't random, it's responsive, and it's waiting for you to take control.